Read item 28.
Order ratifying Task Order 2 to a professional general engineering services agreement with WEI AJA LLC for consent decree program management services and authorizing payment for services rendered and invoiced through July 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, excuse Mr. Banks.
Yeah. So this is for consent decree program management. I see that there's a not to exceed of $2.7 million. And this is not asking as if the council does not want to make sure this work is funded, but making sure that this is within the budget. Currently, from the previous budget that we just passed, we only set aside $1.3 million.
Got it. This is for fiscal year 22.
This is for fiscal year 22. In the budget,
That was the original proposal, but if you look to what the amount that is being authorized,
1.7.
yes, that's
Okay.
that's the amount, and Mr. Malenbecca has identified funding to pay that amount.
All right, so the extra funding on top of the 1.3 million has been identified. The 1.3 million we put in the budget.
That's for next year.
Okay, all right.
This is
For the previous year. All right, I got
So
it.
this is for a year, the work that's already been done.
Yes, sir.
It's for the previous.
And is it funded out of Public Works? Where is it?
It's funded.
It's funded up, okay. So we're funding, so have they not been paid any of this 1.7 million?
No, sir.
So they've been working for this fiscal year that's getting ready to close out here in about 3 days. And they hadn't been paid for any of the work for this past year.
Yes, sir.
I don't think that's a very healthy relationship for contractors.
It's not, and we're here to clean it up and
Okay.
we've got it budgeted for 23 going forward.
Okay. All right. Mr. Hartley.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on that same note. Do we have any mechanisms in place to prevent this from happening? Because some of these folks are small businesses, and it's big chunks, and they can't afford to wait around. So my question is, do we have mechanisms, accounting mechanisms in place to prevent this from happening?
We've had staff changes here. We've had a number of changes in Public Works, and we're improving our processes to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Williams.
let me speak to that, Councilman Hartley. The issue is that we needed these services, but they were not budgeted. And so we have gone this year with these issues being provided not only by WEI AJA, but also by Burns and McDonnell and by Kilpatrick and Townsend. And we've now been able to locate at the end of the fiscal year the money for that. My understanding is that there is money budgeted for next year for this purpose, and so that's how we've. It's not an oversight in paying the invoices. It's having available funding to pay them.
Okay, and I guess that opens up a few other questions then. Did we not anticipate that these issues would have to be funded?
That'll have to be a discussion that finance will have to be involved in, because my understanding is Public Works has consistently requested that money be budgeted for this, and that money was not available within the revenue budget that was projected.
Okay, Mr. Banks.
Yes, for the sake of prevention in the future, because, and colleagues, I think we need to understand, because of the declining revenue on the enterprise side, those projections weren't met to take care of some of these obligations. However, I think that, I guess my question is, and what concerns me, is, one, we don't have our CAFR. I'm interested to know, where those monies were found and how it would affect either our unrestricted or restricted fund balance going into the next year, because this means that there could be no to a very minimal carryover. And there's nothing that we have to hash out now. We have to make this decision. We have to deal with this. But I'm just interested to know, and I think that that's something that the council needs to be abreast of on. We need to get the information on that on a consistent basis, because we are taking such votes without having a completed CAFR by our auditor. And so, it's just like fishing at night. So if we can work on that as soon as possible, that'll help us understand, especially with making sure that we are in compliance with our bond covenants and everything else as far as holding that 7.5%. Thank you.
Dr. Omari?
If there are no other questions, I'm just not going to say anything to this. There are some discussions that could be had, but they should not be held in this forum. So let's just move on.
Mr. Hartley.
Yeah, just one final thing. Our contracts and our contractual process, it demands that there's trust. So when we step up and we sign off on things and we tell someone to go to work, we need to make sure the money is there. Okay, and that's my only point. My biggest point is the trust. If we do not have that trust of these contractors, they'll go some other place. And we need to make sure that they're comfortable in our processes, that they can feel assured to go to work, do the process, do the service, and get paid according to state laws. And so that's where I'll leave it, just on a trust issue.
Ms. Lee.
I just want to say thank you to our project managers who are working on our consent decrees for your diligent work. Even though you have not gotten paid, we appreciate your service to the city.
Okay, I've got one comment, and that is that, we're under the microscope right here in Jackson, Mississippi right now, not only in Mississippi, but across the country and around the world. And it is imperative that we get organized in a manner that we can hire the people we need to hire and that we can pay them after they've done the work. This is really embarrassing to have to pay this out, to come up with this money now for a work they've been working on for a full year. And we need to pass this, and we need to make sure that we pay them their due as soon as possible. Mr. Banks.
Yeah, I understand this simply. I just want to state this so that there won't be misunderstanding. I think one of the things that is imperative that we work out is our collections and our ability to collect that revenue on the wastewater side. And as far as WSBA is concerned, if we were collecting where we need to be, some of these problems that we had wouldn't be. But I do agree that there needs to be communication with the council when there seems to be a lapse or there seems to be that there are vendors that are not getting paid because there are things that are not budgeted. With that being said, call the question.
Okay, any other comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 6-0. Thank you. If the clerk could read item number
29.
29.